Welcome back, fellow members of Tommy Wagner's Blue and White Army, to the Free Blue Boys podcast. Thank you to our viewers and listeners for joining us again. As of course, if you're new to the channel, please remember to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so you never miss a new upload. Please consider following us on social media platforms, links to which are on the screen for you now and in the description below. Gentlemen, given the lack of optimism going into the weekend's fixture, we could have been sit here thinking we don't like Mondays, but it has turned into the happy Mondays, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those things. We scored the late winner, and I wasn't just celebrating because of the goal. I was celebrating because, yes, it's going to be a great weekend. I'm not going to go back home and be like, I can't be asked for this game or that game.
Yeah, you don't go home and think of the Sunday scaries, do you? Think the fucking result at the end was awful. Now we've got to go back to work Monday morning.
See, that was the worst thing about losing on the Friday in the game before that, or Leicester rather, because you know the weekend's going to be shit then.
Yeah, you do, don't you? You got no enthusiasm for it, have you, to be fair? So
yeah, it's so juvenile, really, isn't it, to kind of link your entire well-being over 2 days to
who does that?
Kicking a ball around.
Not that important, is it?
What was Shankly on about? That football's bigger than life, really. That was what they're talking about, really. What did he know? Yeah, no, it was nice, wasn't it, though? It was good to be able to do that, under the circumstances in particular. It doesn't ever feel the same, does it? If you'd scored in the second minute and defended the lead for the next 88.
Not the same, yeah.
No, you'd be on edge the entire game.
You would.
Yeah. But scoring then in the way that we did, and the pressure built, didn't it, to that point. Yeah. So we all felt something in the air, as it were. So, yeah, it was, after our post-match reaction, we went through kind of everything that we did and everything we did right, which was great.
It was really good.
It's nice to kind of reflect back on that, isn't it, over the following few days and see what people have got to say about it.
Yeah, I think we knew after 10 minutes that we were just we'd gone up in the gear again, and we'd obviously the players had listened to obviously what the manager probably was thinking to do there, be a bit more pragmatic, because it was a good mix of play, wasn't it? We touched on it a little bit in the post match, but we were a little bit more direct in the way that we didn't take too many passes to move up the pitch. It was long, direct balls out wide. Obviously, Dutch had a very good game in holding it up.
Definitely.
Because he kind of switched between the 9 and the 10 a little bit, didn't he, in parts. And that really played into our favour. But the mood has been lifted again, hasn't it, with obviously Coventry coming up on Saturday, which we'll get into. But it was a very positive performance, wasn't it? And the 3 points very well collected.
Yeah, given off the back of a couple of poor results and a couple of poor performances, really, even given the results, really, because let's be honest, you can lose games and sometimes think you haven't played too badly or even pick up a draw maybe, but obviously it was the former rather than the latter in the games previously for us in that respect. But it just lifted it, didn't need, there was more fluidity, we were more flexible in our approach, we played over the block rather than try to play through it in some cases, and it gave us more options going forward. It was the fruits of our labour, wasn't it, because it was 23 shots on goal with 6 on target, could have easily won the game 2 or 3-0. Potentially either team could have scored a couple of goals. You could have been looking at a 3-2 result in our favour for the result, or it could have been 2-2 maybe. So it was an end-to-end game in the first half, and then not so much Ipswich, but Swansea hadn't really come back into it. I had to think who we were actually playing then. It's been sort of a rapid succession of games, hasn't it, recently, even after the international break. But they didn't really seem to come back to it. And I did see somebody mention that in the comments of our post-match reaction, that they just seemed to drop off. What was that about? I don't know whether they just sort of ran out of energy and just sort of because we were so at them all the time.
I think a lot of their fans kind of alluded to that, and even the games before, didn't they? So,
they did, and I don't know if it was so much because as well that we weren't playing the way that they expected. Maybe they were training to play in the way that we were just going to be pounding the rock, as we've talked about in the past, and Chris Davis has mentioned before, that we were playing over the block rather than trying to play through them. So maybe that sort of took them out of the game a little bit, thinking, well, we've got to change and adapt to this now. But proof was in the pudding, wasn't it, that we can do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a bit of chat, I don't know, about from both sets of fans about the fact that they might have been a bit tired after their kind of exertions against Forest during the week.
Yeah.
But you've got to remember that there were 7 players in that starting lineup that didn't start against us.
Yeah.
So the majority of the team on Wednesday, the starting team at least, that they weren't involved. So the energy thing is a little bit of a red herring, I guess. I mean, something like Ethan Galbraith, who somehow played 180 minutes across those 2 games. I'm going to take my ass off to him for his energy levels.
I do.
But most of the rest of the first teamers weren't involved.
No.
So I'm not sure about that. So I think maybe Dan's got a point there that it is to do with something about just wearing them down with a different way of playing. They weren't expecting it. I know some of their fans from the comments I saw and from some of the post-match stuff that I looked at from on social media, they were pissed off with the substitution.
Yeah, they were.
Of Vipotnik going off and Ida coming on. I think I can understand it from both points of view. The manager probably thought Vipotnik's played, half an hour of the Forest game and an hour of this one, and he's thinking he's knackered. He can't give any more. So bring somebody else on, freshen it up, try a different approach because Hidal's going to play more in the air. But it didn't happen.
I think maybe some of it, or rather just making a suggestion here, maybe he brought Vipotnik off because it wasn't happening for him.
Yeah.
You just touched on it earlier, Dan.
He did go
they had chances, and they had 3 or 4 chances. He did. And I mean, okay, one of them we'll talk about obviously with the offside, which is a little bit subjective. They did put away, but there were the chances in the first half and 1 or 2 in the second that he should have tucked away.
Yeah.
For being, I think, still the league's top goal scorer, or in and around there. And he should have done it. And I suppose the point is that overall we had the bit of quality when it mattered. From the man from the land down under, once
Indeed,
again.
yeah.
Once again,
we got to get a song for that.
We have,
haven't we?
Man down under song. So we might touch on that in a future video if he gets himself another winner.
He's got to have his own song if you carry on like that.
There is one for him actually.
Is that?
Yeah, the Tilton was singing it. It's escaped me now, but someone might have to remind me in the comments what it was. It wasn't like a like an Iwata and Paik Sung Ho one, but it was a little bit less creative than that.
Yeah, we've been
kind of made up
beaten to it then, haven't we, really? Should have put ours out there. Never mind. Oh, well. But, you are right. The moment of quality came, at the end. And there were other chances for us as well, which we should have done better with. And we talked about that on the post-match.
Yeah.
The kind of overwhelming feeling in the comments that we got from the people, and I want to say thanks to everybody that does comment. Nice to see kind of new people and our regulars there as well, coming in and saying, so much better.
Yeah,
I think that was the overriding emotion.
It was universal, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
And I think there was picking out some key performances as well that particularly impressed a lot of Blues fans who did comment on the post-match reaction video. So Marvin Duck being one of them. I think as well that a lot of people obviously, grateful to Lyndon Dykes being the man on the spot, man down under, as we say.
Yep.
And obviously Roberts as well showing some real quality. Part of the reason why he's been brought into the side by Chris Davis as well. Clara had a better game as well.
He looked more comfortable doing with
Jack Robinson. Thoroughly impressed by Jack Robinson. And it's not just the way that he played, the way that the control commanded the defence as well in conjunction with Christoph Clara. But if you noticed as well, when Ronald went down, and of course he clipped, I believe it was Alec Cochrane, who led to the bleeding on his forehead and the bandage they had thereafter as well. But it was the way that they got at him as well after he dived as well. They were right in his face straight away. And this is what you want, in part, Jack Robinson to do, because he's always done it. It's part of who he is. He's one of those players, you hate playing against him, but you love it when he plays for him. And he's come to good, but that was one of the key performances as well people commented on.
Yeah, he's a shithouser, isn't he?
Oh, he is, At the highest order.
You got the. It's funny actually because when he signed for us, obviously him and Kyogo had a bit of a spat, didn't he?
They did, didn't they?
And you've got massive shithouse and little shithouse, because they are a bit like that, aren't they? So you put them two together, fucking hell.
Did you see Kyogo's turn in the second half as well?
Unbelievable.
That was brilliant.
That deft touch on the edge of the 18, and then makes the centre half. Obviously, he went out for a corner, didn't it? And he was loving that one. But
he wasn't he?
I think you need a bit of that spirit,
You do.
I think Kyogo's a little bit controversial still at this point because people saying he's not finishing his dinner, which he's not. But I do think that when he does, he's going to come good.
Yeah.
And it's just good to see that, because what it's like with some strikers, a bit of a Scott Hogan-esque, when their heads drop, they don't want to be involved at all. But when Kyogo did that, he's behind the team. He's happy to be there. He wants to rev the crowd up, and because we were 1-0 up at that point with a few minutes left of added time, weren't we? So you need those characters, man. Because we touched on that before, didn't we?
Yeah,
about
we did.
Like the likes of Alfie May leaving, and obviously that togetherness that we had last season. Is that going to carry through? And I think, touching on Jack Robinson, I think he does that. And will bring that well.
Yeah, I think he will as well. I think that will continue to be a thing. And I think that's just the type of mentality that Chris Davis has installed in the team, really. It's like, if you're not necessarily doing what your primary meant to do, in the case of Kyogo scoring goals, you can contribute in other ways, and you need to get behind that. And it's like, it's universal across the team. We're starting to see that now. People are playing a part, but also it's collective. And football's a team game at the end of the day, and that's what you love to see. We saw it from Paxton Ho, didn't we, when he knocked one of their players straight into the advertisement hoardings.
We love that.
If you actually saw
Fantastic
that video
moment.
as well, I pointed it out, didn't I, on the Blues YouTube short. You can see you and Dad in the crowd, can't you? Just after, I think you were telling their Swansea player to get up, weren't you, after he went down the advertisement hoardings.
You were celebrating the tackle a bit, but I was more saying, get the fuck up. Like,
exactly.
Covered both sides of it, I think.
Yeah, we did,
If you'd like to sponsor the Free Blue Boys podcast, you can get in touch via our social media platform or via our email address. Thanks very much. Now back to the podcast.
You just want to touch on that because you wanted to bring this up. So you have a bit, I'll let you explain.
Well, I mean, what obviously we're talking a little bit about some of the reactions that we've seen. We're all watching videos and we're all listening to other podcasts and stuff to see what people are saying, because I think it's important to take, in a kind of debrief way, you're taking other people's views into account, aren't you, before we start doing our own podcast tonight. it was a rare opportunity that I noticed on Sunday morning that Swansea, on their own club website, have made the entire 90 minutes available. Oh, blimey, that's unusual. And this would be good. So I sat there. I mean, you know, your mum can't watch this video, really, because she'd be wondering, why were you sat in your house when you could have been painting around in the house, really? But, you know, she won't watch it anyway.
Priorities, Dad.
We'll cut that bit, and we'll just go from now.
Yeah. But, yeah, so I thought, I'm going to watch this. And it was great to watch because you get to see a different perspective, knowing what the result's going to be, and you remember certain incidents, and there's some that you don't remember. But, and there's the big but, you do expect club commentators, and there wasn't a summarise, it was just a commentator, to be a little bit biased. You expect a little bit of this. But the bloke who did it on the Swansea one, my God, I mean, number one, he was so sardonic, you know, so many sarcastic comments, you know, like when Allsop went down for that. No, and we all know it's a time-wasted injury, but it gives both teams a chance to speak over their tactics, doesn't it? You know, and they almost take it in turns in doing it. But he was going, oh, well, you know, he's down and he's hurt his right foot apparently, you know, but I don't think there's anything in it. And then when Allsop took the goal kick, he said, let's just see if he takes it with the right foot he's just hurt. Oh, yes, of course he does. You know, and it was stuff like that, you know, and he went on about the yellow cards, which was fair enough because I think the referee was a bit trigger-happy on those.
Yeah, he was.
But, you know, it wasn't until later on that he kind of actually gave us a little bit of due. And I don't expect that, but it was just the kind of constant kind of passive aggressiveness of the commentary, you know, and I thought, mate, just you need to wind it in a bit, you know. And every time there was an offside, he would say that if it was allowing us to go through, like when Kyogo got put through by Patrick Roberts, he said, oh, well, that one's offside. He didn't call that one, did he? And then, of course, the replay caught up and he went, oh, actually, to be fair, he's onside. I thought, oh, mate, stop getting all fucking, what's his name?
It's just so salty, isn't it?
It's like it's one of those things where when you've got local, you know, not that the team's local, but obviously it's local to him, and you know, is associated with them, and they're not necessarily pundits or on Sky or anything like that. If I've got no experience there, they are going to be like that, and they're not going to be very objective about things. You know, they're going to say something and let their words get, you know, running away with them, and then they're going to see it again and think, oh, actually it was, and it's like, well, you know, you can't just say things, because I said to you, I think our commentary is way too soft, man.
Yeah,
we give it's a little bit. I don't know. It bothers me a bit sometimes. We're almost a bit too it's Blues TV. Like
get behind it a little bit.
Fuck the opposition. You know, obviously give them credit where it's due, but like I think we're just a bit like too respectful sometimes.
Yeah, we're a little bit conservative, aren't we, in our reaction sometimes as well. And just thinking another Welsh club as well, Wrexham have a commentator on their games, and I believe it's on their YouTube channel as well, and a lot of the Sky Sports as well sometimes as well, and they've got it on their documentary as well. They have somebody making the call on their games, and they're actually, I believe, a Wrexham fan, but they're quite objective. They're actually pretty good. They're pretty balanced, and this is all we're asking people to be. Just be balanced. Okay, there's going to be a certain amount of bias, like we've said, we want it a bit more on Blues TV from our Coventry team, but there's no need to be that salty about it and that one-sided about it. And like you said, the sarcastic comments and the way that you approach it, as it were, it just puts people off.
It just adds to the whole Lee Trundle thing. And for anybody who's watched our previous videos, you know, where I was going on about kind of, you know, I used that word, didn't I, to describe Swansea? That was the one word I said, Trundle.
Yeah,
that's 2 times now that I've watched us playing them, and it's like, you know, they get all salty with their comments and kind of. There was a little bit of the arrogance as well of like, you know, we played the Swansea way and, you know, all that kind of thing, and nobody should be getting close to us on this front. Well, yeah, it's not always going to work, lads. Like, you know, it's not always going to be that way.
No.
But anyway, rant over. But it was just interesting that it was, one, they made it available, which was brilliant, because you rarely get a chance to see the whole match for analysis. But it was spoilt by that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know, at times it was taking my focus away from watching the game itself. But,
yeah. And I think just touching on commentary as well before we move on to our preview of this coming Saturday's fixture against Coventry City at 12:30 kickoff again, another early kickoff. Obviously, I wasn't at the game on Saturday prior to commitments from my wife, so I was on childcare duty, so it was just yourself and your dad there. So I was watching it on Sky Sports. But the Sky Sports commentator, I believe her name's Courtney, she was the co-commentator. She hates Blues. I swear to God, she hates Blues, honestly. Everything was so sort of laborious, sort of, oh, well, they need to think about that. Oh, you know, that wasn't very good. Oh, this, that. And it's just kind of like, do you even want to be here? And like, honestly, she was so biased towards Swansea at times. And the one thing that really got up my nose was when Cochrane got clipped in the face when Ronaldo went down when he went for the dive, as it well, rather Ronald than Ronaldo.
Yeah,
we talked about
Ronald
before.
Ronaldo,
I know, honestly.
Fucking played like him, didn't he, on
Saturday? He did. He was more Ronald McDonald, wasn't he, really, that day, than anything else. But she didn't talk about the fact that he'd gone down diving and really deserved a yellow card, which I don't think the referee actually awarded. I think he just had a word with him. But it was like, oh, Cochrane needs to get his head seen to and change his shirt. Do you think that's what anybody's fucking bothered about in that situation, as it were, when they're literally shouting at the bloke because he went down for a dive? What are you even talking about? And it was just so sort of like...
Oh, other than those two bits of commentary from both sets, Sky Sports and the Swansea one, I think everybody else thought we did all right, didn't
Fabulous,
they?
yeah.
Fabulous,
Fantastic.
yeah. So thanks to everybody else who actually
Yeah.
lent us a bit of positive word.
Before we do move on to the commentary game, I just want to give a quick shout out to the shagging swans as well and the inflatable ones. That was a bit of great entertainment because there was. I think it was when Cochrane was down and like, there was 10 minutes going on. We're all like, because we're sat on block 30 in the Cop, so we're looking to our left at the away end. And getting inflatable sheep, like, if anyone was there, you know what I'm talking about. And a couple of blokes there, like, and you could see a few of them like stashed in the background and playing up the Swansea fans with the sheep. And they were chanting like, "We want our sheep back." Stuart come round and took it. And they pulled out another one behind their backs, and they had a few in stock. So that was a proper bit of
brilliant.
And the best away chance in response to that this season so far.
Yeah.
We're sheep shagging bastards. We know what we are.
Yeah, that was class. Yeah,
they got a clap for that actually.
Yeah,
they did actually.
They did.
They had a really good turnout. I mean, they filled up the away end that we give them, and I think I think maybe second half they were a bit quieter. We were going in the ascendancy, weren't we? But like.
That was good turnout.
They were pretty solid.
They were, they were decent. Yeah, they said shit Aston Villa after 30 seconds, which is also a record this season.
I believe it is. Yeah. So credit where credit's due to Swansea City is there. Really well done to them. Maybe we'll see a return of the inflatable sheep for the Wrexham fixture.
Maybe,
Indeed, I think it's the only one really you can bring it out for. Really, to be fair.
They bring real ones to the home game, so that's covered off, isn't it?
It is really. Yeah. Looking forward to this Saturday's fixture. Again, early kickoff, 12:30 p.m. Away to Coventry City.
Yep, pissed at half 10.
Yep, absolutely. Pissed at half 10 again. Yep. Even though, obviously, this time we won't be actually travelling to the stadium. Obviously, we'll be at the United Fan Park. So quite a few supporters are going to be there. So hopefully looking forward to seeing a good turnout there as well. So we've been there before. Obviously, we went to the Wrexham one, didn't we, last season?
Yeah.
It was a good night, weren't it, that, to be fair?
It was very good,
yeah. So thoroughly looking forward to that. Of course, we're playing an informed Coventry City under Frank Lampard. They've had a very good start to the season. To be fair, they were very good last season, to be fair. And I suppose in many ways unlucky not to have got promoted, really. But they've had a very good start to the season. You could argue maybe they've dropped points in the last two games against Leicester City and very much against Oxford United. You would have expected them to win that even at Oxford. Obviously, they pulled a result out of the bag last night, didn't they, against... was it last night?
Bristol City.
It was Bristol City, wasn't it? It was 3-1, and that was at Bristol
yesterday,
City as well. So they did well there. So obviously a tough test. I think, to be fair, I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's probably going to be our toughest test yet this season.
It's a funny one, this, because we're on level points. They've scored the most goals in the league, albeit the fact that they scored 7 in one game against QPR. 3 draws and 2 wins, isn't it, I think? 5. So I think it will be an interesting game because obviously you've got Haji Wright, who is top goal scorer with 5. I think he's level with somebody else. And then you've got who's got 4? It's Torp, is it?
Victor Torp? It's Torp, yeah.
And then obviously you've got Jack Rodoni in there. So they've got some very good quality players in there, and some obviously from last season. I did think they might have a bit of a hangover from not going up last season, but surely one of these seasons they're going to do it. They get closer and closer and closer. But tough test. I think that I would imagine that we're going to go in with the same 11 just because it's a bit of a don't try and fix what's not broke sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that there's no reason why we can't go there, impose ourselves, and if we go there to win, that's a statement win big time, isn't it? So it'll be an interesting game nonetheless.
Yeah, it will. And building on what you said there, Joe, is their attacking abilities are clear for all to see. And if in generic terms, if you look at stats, and I'm not going to go into numbers themselves, but they very much got the kind of the upper hand from an attacking point of view. Yeah, when you look at that, obviously, we've had our own struggles on that front. But when you look at it defensively, Blues are very good. We are top of the league in terms of restricting teams to a low number of shots, especially away, as it happens as well, which sometimes gets forgotten, I guess, in the kind of clamour for creating chances and scoring goals, which obviously you've got to do to win the game. But you've not got to do that at the cost of not being able to shut the back door as well.
Yeah.
So we've got to remember that. There's a lot of strengths in that team. We've talked about Jack Rodoni before. We've talked about Haji Wright. Ephraim Mason-Clark on the left-hand side as well. Yeah. Sakamoto's the Japanese winger. Yeah. But I think maybe the thing that most teams seem to fear is the bombing on of the fullbacks. to the Silver and Van Eyck as well.
Yep.
I think they create a lot of chances. And then Matt Grimes patrols that area in front of the central defender, so they almost become like a back three. And they'll cover the kind of wide areas themselves if anybody drops the ball in behind the fullbacks. They've been very effective. They've stuttered a little bit last 2 games. Yeah, good draw against Leicester, to be fair, but they've stuttered a little.
Remain unbeaten though, don't they?
They do. But they are... I've said it before, it's the game that I've feared the most in the start that we've had, even above Leicester.
I agree with you. Yeah, I do.
And I count it as a local derby. A lot of Blues fans don't. But I grew up in Sheldon. Coventry was closer to me than the Albion ground, when I was growing up, so I've always thought of it that way.
You did put Cov 4th in your rankings of 1 to 4 for rivals.
Yeah, it's a local derby, but it's a lower grade one.
Yeah,
it is really, to be fair. It's kind of like how we play Albion. It's sort of like a friendly neighbourhood local derby, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Sort of the only two only really being like Coventry and Albion anyway. But just picking up on what you mentioned there, Dad, about the fullbacks bumming on for Coventry, as it were, I think probably in that situation I do worry about Cochrane a little bit, and I'd possibly want to see Ethan Laird at left-back. And obviously you're going to have Boz on the right anyway, but I probably want to see him there. And I think you're right, Joe. I think we're going to go in with the same starting 11 because why fix what isn't broke, as it were.
I think for the Cochrane thing, he did look much better in the last game when they did have a lot of pace on the wings.
He did.
And there were points where we were in trouble because we got caught with the ball quite high. And teams, that's one thing I did notice in the last game in particular. You can tell we've jumped up the league.
Yeah.
Because when we do lose the ball high up, teams make 2 passes and bang on the edge of your 18.
Yeah,
and I can expect the same when we play at Coventry on Saturday. So I think with that, it is a bit of a don't try and fix what's not broke. But I do see your point that maybe if that's going to be, because they're a transitional team at now, and
they are.
If they're going to have that energy and that pace on the wings, and you've got Hadji right up top, you've got Jack Rodoni coming in from deep, how are we going to make sure that we're strong there, but we can also hurt them in those areas? Because if they've got people bombing on, spacing behind, how do we ping it in behind? So
again, this is the attraction around Ethan Laird over me for Alex Cochrane. And I think, as we mentioned before, you've got to play what's in front of you. And I think being pragmatic, and hopefully Chris Davis will be. Again, I think he's probably going to side with Alex Cochrane just purely out of loyalty for him, as it were. But I would like to see Ethan Laird start in his place. Obviously, you mentioned with Boz on the right anyway, and Boz has been Mr. Consistency as he was again against Swansea City on Saturday. And I think you mentioned as well, Joe, you feel very safe with the ball at his feet, as it were. And I very much feel the same as well. And he seems to recover the ball really well as well when we're out of possession as well, which is good to see. I think maybe the only other change I'd like to see is maybe Patrick Roberts starting. I think we might get a little bit more out of it than we did out of Tommy Doyle.
Yeah, I think Kumas had a really good game though, didn't he?
He did. He was better Saturday, wasn't he, than he has been in recent games?
I mean, for me, I'd probably go with him again, just because if you're bringing on somebody like Patrick Roberts later on in the game, depending on how it's going, I mean, that's as strong as it gets.
It is really.
On that side of the pitch in your depth. Yeah. And I don't know. I think it's a good headache to have for Chris Davies, because obviously he's got to choose between those two. And I think in hindsight, I would probably go with Patrick Roberts over Kumas, but it's difficult because he had his man beat. 9 times out of 10 when we played Swansea, Kumas. So it's like, do we just go with the exact same, with Duck in the middle again, holding it up for us and having wingers bombing on? I think that will work really well. And there's been a bit of talk online, just to touch on it, about sort of maybe how we set up in attack on Saturday, where, because a lot of people weren't too impressed with Stansfield. I think he had a decent game, didn't he? But he was a little bit...
he was a little bit more absent on Saturday,
He was trying to beat people too much, and I don't know, like he seems a bit too aggressive sometimes. Let's get the better of him, which has pros and cons. But some people were saying that maybe we have Kyogo in the 9 because of the way he can get in behind, which could be vital to the game on Saturday. Keep Duck in the 10 to hold the ball up. He can link up with Gray on the left, like he did against Swansea.
Yeah.
For me, I think I would go with that, because if it's later on in the game and you need a goal, put Stano in the 9.
Yeah.
How's it going, fellow Blues fans? Hope you're enjoying the channel so far and liking today's video. I wanted to take a minute of your time to talk about our sponsor, Bangla Lounge Indian Cuisine. For these 3 blue boys, Bangla Lounge has been the go-to choice to enjoy the very finest in Indian cuisine for over a decade now. Made with the freshest ingredients using authentic recipes, Bangla Lounge produces some of the best Indian cuisine that I've ever tasted. And if you enjoy takeaway at the end of the week, orders for collection and delivery, with 15% discount ordering direct through the website. If you enjoy a sit-down meal, you can enjoy this for a 2-for-1 offer running Sunday to Thursday every week on main courses. Or if you're celebrating a special occasion such as a birthday, Bangla Lounge offers a buffet restaurant every Sunday running from 5:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. So if you like a tasty curry or a sizzling tandoori, get yourself down to Bangla Lounge Hellzoing. Links in the description below of our video. And if you would like to fine dine after a win in the B9. Thanks very much. Now back to the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I guess while we're kind of on this subject of kind of lineups, maybe we ought to go into what we expect Chris Davies to play, not necessarily what we would want to see play. I personally would like to see the same starting lineup. To be honest with you. However, I think there might need to be further tweaks in the way that we play, and I think Norwich seemed to be quite successful at the CBS when they went there and got a draw, and it was only, I think, Hadji Wright scored in the 6th minute of injury time to equalise. And I know Frank Lampard was quite agitated and irate about the shithousery that Norwich put together to break up the play.
Yeah.
Now, I think we've probably got to do a bit of that. I think we probably need to be like mid-block, compact.
Yeah.
Keep it tight. We can use the ducks to shield the ball, knock it into his feet kind of thing, and have runners off him. We can drop in behind the full-backs on the break, so when they push forward, quick diagonal balls over the top into those channels. Yeah. And I think to do that, you could have Stano or you could have Kyogo, but I think I would go with the fact that Stano galvanises us in away games. I just remember the way he lifted us at Blackburn. That kind of grab the game by the scruff of the neck attitude. He has got to be careful, Joe. You are right. Don't get too confrontational about these things. But I would go with that. I'd go with the same lineup, but we need to be acutely aware of their threat, but also carry our own. So how do we do that? Use the wingers. Use Stano in the channels, play the ball into the Ducks' feet, hold up and run off I
don't want us to be this thing where, because if anything, this is an even bigger game on Saturday than the one just gone for me, because it's like, okay, we've shown on Saturday that we can do it, as you said before, Dan.
Yeah.
But now we're playing away and we ain't got 27,000 Blue Noses behind us. We've only got 3.5. Yeah. Are we going to bring the same aggressiveness? Are we going to play with the ball with the same intent? Are we going to be what we were, against Ipswich, against Swansea, against Oxford? Because I don't want to become a team that's just going to rely on, we're good at home, we'll pick up points at home. No, we need to be able to perform away and get points or point.
Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely. I think that's got to be the thought process going into it, as it were. And like you say, Dad, it's going to be how do we deal with their threat credibly while also offering our own. And I think the key, like you say, is going to be going in behind the fullbacks when they've pressed forward, as it were. It's going to be breaking up the play. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of shithousery, as Norwich did against them previously, as it were, because they're a team that thrive on teams not being able to disrupt them very much. Yeah. They're very fluid in the way that they move forward, as it were. That's why the fullbacks push so high when they're going forward, as it were. They move together very well as a team going forward, and it's got to be that level of a disruption. And like you say, I think probably Stansfield, who's performed for us very well going away from home this season, he's going to be key to that, and he's probably going to be dictating that. I think Duck's going to be involved in that as well. Do we see other changes in the team in relation to how Chris Davies is going to pick the team? I would agree with you there, Dad. I think it's probably going to be the same starting 11 again, as much as I'd like to see Finn Laird and Patrick Roberts starting, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think that's probably going to be the best way of going about things, I think, going into the game. But it's a completely different opposition, I think, we're against this time, and one that offers more threat than Swansea City would have done.
Watch us be completely wrong now, and Williamson comes back from injury and he goes on the right. And we have Doyle in the 10 or something like that.
Fujimoto will make an appearance.
And we got to make 100 passes before we can get into their fucking half. And everyone will be like, fucking hell, we're shit again.
We're bollocks again,
And then Coventry end up hitting us on break.
On that basis, so Dan has said, that he would go with the same team. Chris Davies will go with the same team. I've said that. What do you reckon?
I think I don't know, actually. I'd like to think he's going to go with the same, because he's done it quite a few times where we've won a game on the back of a few bad results. We did it last season, and then he stuck with that. But I don't know, just because we've got a lot of people in positions that can play various roles across the front line, so it's a bit of a lottery. It
is really.
So I don't know. I think I'll go with the same. I think you're both definitely right about the Stansfield thing, because I think he does galvanise us in a away game. So I think that could be vital to us, depending on how the game goes. So I'll probably go with that.
It's difficult to. You're quite right. It's difficult to actually kind of read the situation, because they've got a lot more analysis than we've got. They go through kind of watching videos, and they'll run the numbers, and they know kind of the areas where they think they can get joy, and also the areas to be aware of. So I don't know, but I guess that's a gut feel from all of us, and probably most of the Blues fans. I think the same. Stick with what you got. That it worked on Saturday, and let's do the same again.
Yeah.
And you make changes in the game, don't you? If you need to,
you do.
Scorelines? Anybody want to go first?
Go on then. I think, and this is partly because I'd be happy to take this result, considering the opposition we're playing at and the very fact that we're playing away from home as well. I'd say 1-1. I think both teams will register a goal, but I think they're going to come probably later on in the game, or maybe one each half, as it were. But I'm going to go with 1-1.
Dad?
I'm going to go 2-1 to Cov.
Okay.
I think they will outscore us. I think we'll find some joy. I think we'll get a goal. And we might even score first, which would be. But I just think their attacking intensity might just be a bit too much for us. I don't want to be negative about Blues, but it's a very, very tough place to go. Yeah. And I think they might just have a little bit too much for us.
I think, also again, not to be negative, I think Cov will win 3-2. I think there'll be a little bit more in it. I do think it'll be a little bit frenetic at times. Obviously I wouldn't be happy with that, but if we go out there and we give it a good go, and there's no reason why we can't go there and win. For me, if anything, I actually just want to see a very good away performance from us. Yeah. Because the last two have been shit. Let's be honest. It's all well and good doing it at home, but for me, like I said before, that with Saturday being away against a very tough team in this league, I think if we can go there and perform and look like we mean something in this league and we can do some damage, I'm good with that.
You've got to grab points away, because let's be honest, right? Up until the last, 20 minutes against Blackburn, we weren't that great.
No, we weren't.
So we've had 3 away performances where really we haven't really earned the right to kind of go on and say we're a good away team.
Yeah.
So it's got to start at some point, and why not this Saturday?
Yeah, of course, why not?
So having said all the results that we've said, I would love nothing more than to see us kind of come away with the 3 points with a great performance.
And I think we touched on it in the post match. Maybe I'm not sure, but you got the correct score against Swansea.
You did.
I did indeed. Yeah,
you did.
If you get 2 in a row, I'll be happy with that.
We take a 1-1 draw. Yeah. That's why I wasn't quite going to say, and considering the opposition, the fact that we're playing away from home, I wasn't going to go for sort of like 1-0 Blues or 2-1 Blues, as it were. I was maybe being a little bit more conservative, but hopefully we can turn it into a point. And like you say, off the back of a win, does wonders, doesn't it? And what a difference a week makes, as it were. So hopefully we can carve out a result there. But as I say, I think it might be a question of maybe that they're outscoring us, as it were.
Yeah, I guess we'll see, won't we?
Yeah, we will. Of course, Frank Lampard's going to be up for it, isn't he? Because he's going to be there, isn't he? Or Birmingham, they're in form at the moment. No, but no, seriously, we've got to play well and make sure we get the points. So that's going to be a bit like that.
That's so him, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? And I suppose, as we've talked about in previous videos, credit where credit's due to Frank Lampard, considering we've talked about high-profile former professional players, not a particularly good manager. He's proven his worth at this level. He really has.
He's done well.
I sometimes forget he's Frank Lampard.
You do,
that's
don't
a good
you?
thing. Like, if you're a decent manager,
it is,
that used to be a
exactly.
good player. Because I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I remember how he used to be.
You almost forget he's there at times.
You still got Rooney, and you're like, yeah, he's fucking shit as a manager.
Nobody's going to forget Amy. Everybody's going to know, aren't they?
Yeah.
No, but really looking forward to it on Saturday. Of course, again, pissed by 10:30 again, another 12:30 kick-off in the afternoon. Of course, we'll be at the St Andrews United Fan Park. Plenty of our Blue Noses there, and of course, all the very best of Blues fans travelling there. All the support will be well heard as always, as we travel away to Coventry City. And Blues fans, in the comment section, please let us know what your selection would be for Saturday's game coming up against Coventry City at the 12:30 p.m. kick-off at the Rico Arena. I believe it's the Rico Arena now.
CBS, now it's called.
CBS. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Now that they own it.
Building Society.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh, very well then. And of course, congratulations to Coventry, as mentioned before, owning their ground now, so which is always good. And of course, Blues fans in the comment section, please let us know what you think the score prediction will be as well for Saturday's game. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me again.
Yeah, pleasure. Good stuff, man.
Joy as always. And of course, to our viewers and listeners, if you've enjoyed today's video, please drop us a like. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, hit that bell notification button so you never miss a new upload. Please consider following us on social media platforms, links to which are on the screen for you now and in the description below. But until then, fellow Blues fans, keep well, stay true to the Royal Blue, and keep right on.
Keep right on.